Imagine you walk into a shop just to look around, but you come out carrying things you never planned to buy. Or you agree to something even when you wanted to say no. These moments feel normal, but they are not random. Something is influencing your decisions without you even realizing it. In Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini, we learn that human behavior is often guided by hidden psychological triggers. These triggers act like shortcuts in our brain, helping us make quick decisions, but at the same time, they make us easy to influence. Cialdini calls these triggers weapons of influence. They are used everywhere in marketing, in business, in relationships, and even in simple everyday conversations. The surprising part is that most of the time, we don't even notice them working on us. This introduction is your wake-up call. Once you understand these invisible forces, you start to see the world differently. You become more aware, more in control, and less likely to be manipulated. Now the real question is, are your choices truly yours, or are they being shaped by someone else? Chapter 1. Reciprocation. The old give and talk and take. Imagine this. You're walking through a store and someone offers you a free sample. You didn't ask for it, but you take it anyway. A few moments later, you feel a subtle pressure to buy something. Not because you really need it, but because you feel like you should. Or think about a time when someone helped you with something small. Maybe they gave you advice, did you a favor, or supported you in a moment of need. Without even thinking, you felt a strong urge to return the favor. That feeling, that invisible pull, is not sluchini. It is deeply programmed into your mind. This is the rule of reciprocation. In this chapter of Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion, Robert Cialdini reveals that humans are naturally wired to give back what they receive. From childhood, we are taught that it is wrong to take without giving in return. This rule helps build trust, strengthen relationships, and keep society functioning smoothly. Without it, cooperation between people would be much harder. But here's where it gets powerful and a little dangerous, because this rule can be used against us. Many businesses, marketers, and even individuals understand this principle very well. They give you something first, a free sample, a small gift, a compliment, or even just attention. And in return, they create a sense of obligation inside you, a silent pressure that pushes you to say yes. Sometimes the thing you receive is small, but what you give back is much bigger. And the most surprising part is you don't even realize it's happening. Your brain is simply following a rule it has trusted for years. Cialdini also explains a powerful technique called the rejection then retreat strategy. This is when someone asks for something big, expecting you to say no. Then they step back and ask for something smaller. And because they gave in, you feel like you should also give in, so you agree. Not because you truly want to, but because it feels fair. This is how deeply the rule of reciprocation controls our decisions. It works automatically, quickly, and often without our awareness. But once you understand it, you begin to see it everywhere. You start noticing when someone is giving with a hidden intention. You begin to question that feeling of obligation. And most importantly, you create a small pause between what you feel and how you respond. That pause is your power. Because in that moment, you are no longer being controlled by an invisible rule. You are making a conscious choice. And that is the first step to protecting yourself from unwanted influence and becoming someone who truly controls their own decisions. Chapter 2. Commitment and Consistency. Hobgoblins of the Mind. You make a small decision. You say yes to something simple, something that doesn't feel like a big deal, but later, you find yourself agreeing to something much bigger, something you never planned for. And deep inside, you know you should say no, but you don't. Why? Because once we commit to something, we feel a powerful need to stay consistent with that decision. In this chapter of Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion, Robert Cialdini explains that humans have a deep desire to appear consistent in their actions, words, and beliefs. We want to feel like our choices make sense. We want others to see us as reliable and true to our word. And most importantly, we want to believe that we are in control of our decisions. But this need for consistency can quietly control us. Once we take a stand or make a commitment, especially a public one, we feel pressure to stick with it, even if the situation changes. Even if the decision is no longer right for us, we continue, simply because we've already started. Think about a time when you defended an opinion, even after realizing you might be wrong, or when you continued doing something just because you had already invested time, effort, or money into it. That's consistency at work. Cialdini shows how this principle is used in powerful ways. For example, companies often ask for small commitments first, like signing up for a free trial or answering a simple question. Once you agree to something small, you are far more likely to agree to something bigger later. This is known as the foot in the door technique. A tiny yes opens the door for a much bigger yes. And because you want to stay consistent with your earlier action, you go along with it. Even more powerful is when commitments are written down or spoken out loud. When you say something publicly, it becomes part of your identity. And once it becomes part of who you are, it becomes much harder to change. But here's the hidden truth. Consistency is not always a good thing. Blind consistency can trap you in decisions that no longer serve you. It can make you ignore better choices just to protect your past actions. The key is awareness. When you understand this principle, you begin to pause and ask yourself a simple question. Am I doing this because it's the right choice, or just because I want to stay consistent with my past? That question changes everything, because true control doesn't come from always being consistent. It comes from being aware enough to change when needed. And the moment you give yourself permission to rethink, to adjust, and to grow, you break free from one of the strongest forces of influence. Chapter 3. Social Proof. Truths are us. You're in a new place trying to decide where to eat. Two restaurants stand side by side. One is almost empty. The other is full of people buzzing with energy. Without thinking too much, you choose the crowded one. Why? Because when we are unsure, we look at others to decide what is right. In this chapter of Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion, Robert Cialdini explains the powerful idea of social proof, the tendency to see something as correct when we see other people doing it. In simple words, we believe that if many people are doing something, it must be the right thing to do. This behavior is deeply built into us. It helps us make quick decisions, especially in situations where we feel uncertain or confused. Instead of thinking too much, our brain takes a shortcut. Just follow the crowd, and most of the time this works. If everyone is avoiding danger, it makes sense to do the same. If many people trust something, it often means it's safe. But this same shortcut can also be used to influence us. Think about online reviews, viral trends, or long queues outside a store. The more people you see doing something, the more you feel pulled toward it. Even if you don't realize it, their behavior is shaping your decision. Cialdini also explains that social proof becomes even stronger when we see people similar to us. If someone who looks like us, thinks like us, or lives like us is doing something, we are much more likely to follow. It feels more relatable, more believable, and more convincing. But here's the hidden danger. When everyone is looking at everyone else for guidance, no one is actually thinking for themselves. This can lead to situations where people follow the crowd blindly, even when the crowd is wrong. There have been moments where people failed to act in emergencies simply because no one else was reacting. Everyone was waiting for someone else to make the first move. This shows how powerful and sometimes dangerous social proof can be. The truth is, the crowd is not always right. But once you understand this principle, you begin to notice it everywhere. You start to see how your choices are being influenced by the actions of others, and instead of automatically following, you pause and think for yourself. Because real power comes from awareness. And the moment you stop blindly following the crowd, you start leading your own decisions. Chapter 4. Liking the Friendly Thief. You meet someone for the first time, and instantly you feel comfortable around them. They smile, they compliment you, they seem similar to you in many ways. Without even realizing it, you begin to trust them. And when they ask for something, you find it hard to say no. Why does this happen? because we are more likely to say yes to people we like. In this chapter of Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion, Robert Cialdini explains that liking is one of the most powerful tools of influence. When we like someone, we automatically lower our guard. We trust them more, agree with them more, and often do things for them that we wouldn't do for others. And the surprising part is, liking can be created very easily. One of the biggest reasons we like someone is similarity. If a person shares our interests, opinions, background, or even small things like style or habits, we feel connected to them. It feels natural, it feels safe. And that connection makes us more open to their influence. Another powerful factor is compliments. Even when we know a compliment might not be completely true, it still affects us. We tend to like people who say good things about us. It makes us feel valued, and that feeling creates trust. Cialdini also talks about familiarity. The more we see someone, the more we start to like them. This is why brands show repeated ads and why people feel comfortable with faces they recognize. Familiarity creates comfort, and comfort leads to trust. There is also the idea of association. We tend to like people who are connected with positive things. For example, advertisers use attractive faces, happy moments, or success stories to create a positive feeling, and then link that feeling to a product or a person. But here's the hidden truth. Sometimes people use liking as a tool to influence us without us noticing. They build a connection, create trust, and then ask for something in return. And because we like them, we say yes without questioning it. This is why Cialdini calls it the friendly thief. It doesn't feel like pressure. It doesn't feel like manipulation. It feels natural. And that's what makes it so powerful. But once you understand this principle, everything changes. You begin to notice when someone is trying to win your approval just to influence your decision. You start to separate your feelings from your choices. Because liking someone is natural. But letting that liking control your decisions without thinking is where the problem begins. And the moment you become aware of that difference, you take back control. Chapter 5. Authority-directed deference. You walk into a hospital and a doctor in a white coat tells you what to do. Without questioning much, you follow their advice. Or a person in a uniform gives you instructions and you obey instantly. Why? Because we are trained to respect authority. In this chapter of Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion, Robert Cialdini explains that humans have a deep-rooted tendency to obey figures of authority. From a young age, we are taught to listen to teachers, parents, leaders, and experts. We believe that those in positions of authority know more, and therefore, they must be right. This behavior helps society function in an organized way. Imagine a world where no one listened to rules or respected expertise. It would be chaos. Authority creates structure, trust, and order. But here's the hidden truth. This same tendency can be used to influence us in powerful ways. People don't always need real authority to influence you. Sometimes they only need the appearance of it. A uniform, a title, a confident tone, or even symbols like expensive clothing or luxury items can create the illusion of authority. And once we see those signals, we automatically respond with respect and obedience. Cialdini shares examples where people followed instructions that didn't even make sense, simply because they came from someone who appeared to be an authority figure. They didn't question, they didn't pause, they just obeyed. This shows how strong this influence can be. We often assume that authority equals truth, but that is not always the case. Sometimes authority can be misleading, fake, or even used to manipulate. And if we don't question it, we can end up making decisions that are not in our best interest. The key is not to reject authority, but to become aware of it. When someone gives you advice or instructions, ask yourself, are they truly an expert, or do they just look like one? Is their guidance based on real knowledge or just confidence and appearance? That small moment of questioning can protect you from blind obedience, because true intelligence is not about always following authority. It's about knowing when to trust it and when to think for yourself. And the moment you stop obeying automatically, you begin to take full control of your decisions. Chapter 6. Scarcity. The rule of the few. You see a product online with a message. Only 2 items left. Suddenly your interest increases. or a limited time offer appears, and you feel an urge to act quickly before it disappears. Even if you weren't planning to buy anything, now you don't want to miss out. Why does this happen? Because we naturally place more value on things that are rare or about to be lost. In this chapter of Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion, Robert Cialdini explains the principle of scarcity, the idea that the less available something is, the more we want it. When opportunities become limited, they feel more valuable, more desirable, and more urgent. This is because of a simple fear, the fear of missing out. When something is easily available, we don't feel pressure. We think we can have it anytime. But the moment it becomes scarce, our mindset changes. We stop thinking calmly and start reacting emotionally. We don't want to lose the opportunity, so we act fast, sometimes without thinking clearly. Cialdini also explains that scarcity is even more powerful when something is taken away from us. When we feel like our freedom to choose is being limited, we react strongly. We want that thing even more, simply because we feel like we might not be able to have it anymore. This is why phrases like limited edition, last chance, or offer ending soon are so effective. They create urgency. They push us to decide quickly. And in that rush, we often ignore logic and follow emotion. But here's the hidden truth. Scarcity doesn't always mean value. Just because something is rare doesn't mean it's good or right for you. Sometimes the scarcity is created on purpose to influence your decision. The real power comes from awareness. When you feel that sudden pressure to act fast, and pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this truly valuable, or am I just reacting to the fear of losing it? That small pause can save you from impulsive decisions, because in the end, the most valuable choices are not the ones made in urgency, but the ones made with clarity. And the moment you stop chasing what is scarce without thinking, you start choosing what truly matters. Conclusion: understanding the hidden forces of influence. Throughout this journey through influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini, one truth becomes clear. Human decisions are not always as free or logical as we believe. Many of our choices are guided by hidden psychological forces working quietly in the background. We saw how reciprocation makes us feel obligated to give back, how commitment and consistency push us to stay aligned with our past decisions, how social proof makes us follow the crowd when we are unsure, how liking makes us trust and agree with people we feel connected to, how authority makes us obey without questioning, and how scarcity creates urgency that can override logic. These principles are not good or bad on their own. They are simply part of human psychology. They help society function, build trust, and allow quick decision-making in a complex world. But at the same time, they can be used to influence, persuade, and sometimes manipulate behavior without us realizing it. The real power is not in avoiding these forces completely. That is not possible. The real power is in awareness, because once you understand how influence works, you stop reacting automatically. You start noticing patterns. You pause before saying yes. You question your decisions instead of following them blindly. And in that moment of awareness, something important changes. You are no longer just influenced by the world around you. You begin to observe it, understand it, and respond with intention. That is the real lesson of this book. Not to resist influence, but to recognize it. Because when you can see the invisible forces shaping your choices, you finally take back control of your mind.